Let me tell you something. Silence is power. Most people lose before they even start, not because they fail, but because they talk too much. They broadcast their every move, their every plan, and in doing so, they hand over their power. The truth is this: the more people know about what you're doing, the more they can question it, doubt it, or even sabotage it. If you want to build something real, something strong, you don't announce it, you protect it. You don't talk about the work, you do the work. And when it's ready, you let the results speak louder than anything you could have ever said. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. Too often, people confuse talking with strength, as if the louder you are, the more powerful you become. But the truth is, the strongest people in the room are rarely the ones speaking the most. They're the ones observing, calculating, and choosing their words carefully. When you hold back from revealing your every thought and move, you're not being passive. You're being intentional. You're protecting yourself, your energy, and your direction. That is real strength. The need to constantly explain yourself is born out of insecurity. When you feel the urge to justify your actions, what you're really seeking is permission or validation. And if you need validation from others, you've already given away control of your decisions. You're telling the world, I can't move forward unless you agree. That is weakness disguised as openness. Strong people don't beg for approval. They act, they decide, they move, and they let the results prove them right or wrong. Think about the moments when you've shared your goals too soon. What usually happens? You get opinions, advice you didn't ask for, doubts you didn't need, and judgments you weren't prepared to handle. Suddenly, instead of building momentum, you're carrying the weight of other people's thoughts on your shoulders. That is the cost of speaking too much. When you stay silent, you eliminate that noise. You create space to focus on what actually matters. Execution. Silence gives you control of your narrative. If no one knows what you're doing, no one can interfere with it. They can't question a plan they don't see. They can't sabotage a path they can't follow. They can't weaken what they can't touch. This is why silence isn't just a habit. It's a shield. Every word you hold back becomes a layer of protection over your goals and ambitions. You're building in private, away from distractions, away from doubters, away from energy leeches. Understand this. Strength is not about showing your hand. It's about knowing when to play it. Strategy requires patience. You don't need to announce every step to prove that you're moving. You don't need to broadcast every decision to prove that you're strong. The most powerful moves are made quietly and revealed only when the impact is undeniable. That's why silence is not a lack of confidence. It's the highest form of it. You're so certain in yourself that you don't need to explain. You don't need applause. You don't need eyes watching. When you embrace silence as a strategy, you begin to value your focus over attention. You stop feeding people information that doesn't serve you. You stop wasting energy trying to prove yourself. You put all of that energy into action, into results, into outcomes that no one can argue with. And when those results appear, they won't need an introduction. They'll speak for you, louder than your words ever could. Every time you speak about what you are going to do, you release a little bit of the energy you need to actually do it. Think about it. How often have you told someone about your plans, felt a rush of excitement as you described it, and then noticed that the fire inside you wasn't as strong anymore? That's because you gave it away. You let your words trick your mind into believing you had already accomplished something. Talking created a false sense of progress, but no real progress was made. Energy that should have been fueling action was wasted on conversation. When you keep your plans private, that energy stays locked inside of you. It doesn't scatter into empty words or casual conversations. It builds pressure, like steam inside a closed chamber. And when that pressure builds enough, it fuels movement, discipline, and execution. Silence forces you to channel everything inward, your excitement, your motivation, your vision, and that becomes power. It keeps you hungry because you haven't already satisfied yourself by announcing it to the world. The problem with telling people your plans is that most of them can't carry your vision. Some will try to put their fears onto you. Others will doubt you, not because you can't do it, but because they can't imagine themselves doing it. And every word of doubt you hear chips away at your energy. Even if you think you're ignoring it, part of you carries that weight. Instead of moving freely, you're dragging around other people's limitations. That's energy drain. There's another way you lose energy when you talk too much: accountability to the wrong people. When you share your goals, you create an expectation. Now, instead of focusing on your actual progress, you start thinking about how you look to others. You start working for appearances instead of for results. And that is dangerous. It ties your motivation to people who may not even care if you succeed. The truth is, you don't need that kind of accountability. The only accountability you need is to yourself. That's where real discipline comes from. Energy build comes when you keep your head down and your mouth shut. Every hour you spend working quietly adds another layer of strength to you. Every moment you resist the urge to tell someone what you're building, you're storing energy that will multiply when it's released. And when it is released, through action, through results, through success, the impact is undeniable. It doesn't just inspire others, it shocks them, because no one saw it coming. That's the difference between draining your energy on words and building it with silence. Protecting your energy is not optional if you want to achieve anything great. It is the fuel that drives everything you do. And once you learn how to keep it, how to build it, and how to channel it, you stop wasting it on people who don't deserve it. And you start investing it where it matters most, into the work, into yourself, into the future you're creating. Not everyone who smiles at you is for you. Not everyone who claps for you wants to see you win. Some people will stand beside you, not because they support you, but because they want a front row seat to your downfall. That's the reality most people don't want to face. They assume everyone around them has good intentions, but life doesn't work that way. People carry envy, insecurity, and silent competition in their hearts. If you give them your blueprint, if you tell them every detail of what you're building, you hand them the very tools they need to break it apart. When you start sharing your plans, you expose yourself to judgment you didn't ask for. Some people will question you, not out of concern, but out of doubt. They'll say things like, "Are you sure that's a good idea?" Or, "I don't think that will work." And those words linger. They plant seeds of hesitation inside of you. Even if you're strong, hearing those doubts over and over chips away at your confidence. That's why keeping silent is so powerful. It denies them access to your vision before it's ready to defend itself. There are people in your life who thrive on comparison. The moment you tell them what you're doing, they start measuring themselves against you. If they feel you're getting ahead, jealousy creeps in. They may not say it out loud, but inside, they're hoping you stumble. They might even work against you quietly, feeding you bad advice, discouraging you, or creating distractions to slow you down. When you limit what you share, you also limit their ability to interfere. You take away their weapon before they can use it. You have to understand the difference between those who genuinely support you and those who only tolerate you. The ones who support you don't need details. They trust you, they believe in you, and they'll cheer when you succeed no matter how you got there. The ones who only tolerate you need details because they're looking for cracks, looking for flaws, looking for ways to discredit you. And sometimes, the most dangerous ones are not strangers, but the people closest to you, because they know your weaknesses. This is why protecting your moves is not just smart. It's survival. The harsh truth is that not everyone is built to celebrate your victories. Some people will clap when you fail louder than they ever clapped when you succeeded. If you want to keep your strength, stop feeding information to people who don't deserve it. Stop thinking everyone is on your side. Silence is not just about privacy, it's about protection. When no one knows your next step, they can't block it, they can't steal it, and they can't use it against you. You move on your terms, at your pace, without interference. That's how you win. Every great vision begins small. It starts as a seed in your mind, fragile, vulnerable, and not yet strong enough to withstand the outside world. The mistake most people make is exposing that seed too soon. They share it with others before it has roots, before it has strength, and then they wonder why it withers away. The truth is, a seed doesn't need exposure in its early stage. It needs protection. It needs time to grow in silence, away from harsh conditions, away from careless hands, away from anyone who might step on it before it has the chance to become something real. When you first create an idea, it feels exciting. You can see the potential in your head. You can almost taste the outcome. But the moment you put it into words and release it, you open it to forces you cannot control. Doubt, envy, criticism, and misunderstanding begin to swirl around it. And because your idea is still young, still delicate, it doesn't have the strength to fight back. That is why so many dreams die before they even begin. Because people reveal them too early, when what they really needed to do was nurture them in silence. Think of how nature works. A seed doesn't sprout in the open overnight. It is buried deep in the dark soil where no one can see it. It is hidden, unseen, and protected while it gathers the strength to push upward. Only when it has grown roots strong enough to sustain it does it break through the surface. Your vision works the same way. The soil is your silence. The darkness is your discipline. That hidden stage is where your dream gathers the strength to stand on its own. Without that period of quiet protection, the vision never becomes reality. People often think sharing their goals will bring them motivation, but what it actually brings is exposure. When you expose your seed too soon, people who can't see what you see will trample on it. They'll laugh, they'll dismiss it, they'll tell you it can't be done. And if you're not grounded enough, their words will infect your belief. Suddenly, you're second-guessing yourself, watering down your vision or abandoning it altogether, not because it wasn't possible, but because you revealed it before it had time to grow strong. Protecting your vision in the seed stage is an act of respect for yourself and for the future you're building. You owe it to your dream to guard it until it's powerful enough to withstand outside voices. That means keeping it close, working in silence, and allowing it to grow quietly under your care. By the time people see it, it won't be an idea they can dismiss. It will be a reality too solid to deny. And that's the difference between those who talk about what they want and those who actually achieve it. Validation is one of the easiest traps to fall into because it feels good in the moment. You share your plans, someone praises you, and for a split second you feel stronger, more certain, more motivated. But that strength is borrowed, not built. It doesn't come from you. It comes from someone else's approval. And the danger with borrowed strength is that it can be taken away the moment their opinion changes. If your confidence rises and falls based on how others respond, you're not in control of your own direction. You've handed that control over to people who may not even want the best for you. The truth is, seeking validation is a form of dependency. It's telling the world, I can't trust myself, so I need you to reassure me. And the more you rely on that reassurance, the weaker your inner compass becomes. Instead of asking yourself, is this right for me? You start asking, do they approve of this? You abandon your own instincts to satisfy someone else's perception. That's not strength, that's surrender. Greatness is never achieved by people who beg for permission. It's achieved by people who trust themselves enough to move forward, whether anyone claps for them or not. The problem with validation is that it never lasts. You can tell someone your idea, and they might say, that's amazing, you should definitely do it. But the next person might laugh, dismiss it, or say it's impossible. Now you're stuck in a cycle of highs and lows, feeding on positive feedback, collapsing under negative feedback. Your energy becomes tied to external opinions instead of internal conviction, and in that cycle, you lose momentum. Instead of building, you're constantly second-guessing. Instead of moving, you're constantly seeking approval. When you stop chasing validation, you reclaim your power. You no longer need someone to tell you that you're capable because you already know you are. You don't need someone to agree with your vision because you've already committed to it. You stop announcing your plans just to get applause and start working on them because they matter to you. That shift is everything. It takes you from being reactive to being intentional, from being controlled by others to being led by yourself. Understand this. The people whose validation you're seeking are often in no position to give it. Many of them haven't built anything themselves. Many of them live within limitations they've never broken free from. So why do you value their opinion more than your own? Why should their limited perspective dictate what you can or cannot do? The moment you realize that most people are speaking from their own fears, not your potential, you free yourself from the trap of needing their approval. Validation feels good, but it is fleeting. Conviction feels hard, but it is lasting. If you want to build something that lasts, you have to stop chasing the temporary comfort of being liked and start embracing the permanent strength of believing in yourself. Only then can you move forward with clarity, independence, and power that no one can give you and no one can take away. People respect results, not promises. You can talk all day about what you're going to do, about how hard you're working, about the vision you're chasing, but none of it means anything until there's something real to show for it. Words are easy, they cost nothing. Anyone can say they're grinding, they're building, they're planning, but work, that's undeniable. Work creates proof, and proof commands respect. When you deliver results, you don't have to convince people to believe in you. They see it, they feel it, they can't argue with it. Talking about your goals gives you a temporary rush, like you've accomplished something already. But here's the truth. Talking is not doing. Telling people you're working out is not the same as training until your body changes. Saying you're writing a book is not the same as sitting down every day and putting in the hours until the pages stack up. Declaring you're going to start a business is not the same as putting money, sweat, and sleepless nights into making it real. The world is not moved by talkers. It's moved by doers. And the moment you understand that, you'll stop wasting energy announcing and start investing that energy in action. The reason work speaks louder than words is because results shut down noise. If someone doubts you but then sees what you've built, their opinion doesn't matter anymore. The work silences them. If someone criticizes you, mocks you, or underestimates you, results erase every word they said. You don't need to argue. You don't need to explain. You don't need to defend yourself. All you have to do is keep producing, keep delivering, keep showing what can't be denied. That's power. When you lead with words, you invite people to debate you. They'll question your methods, your plans, your timing. But when you lead with results, there's nothing to debate. You've already proven it. You've already won the argument without saying a word. That's why silence paired with consistent work is unstoppable. You're not wasting time convincing anyone. You're too busy building something that speaks for itself. The greatest people in any field are not the ones who shouted the loudest about their intentions. They're the ones who kept their heads down, worked relentlessly, and let the results make the noise. They weren't posting about every move. They weren't bragging about what they were about to do. They were in the process, quietly, consistently, until one day the world couldn't ignore them anymore. By then, it wasn't talk. It was reality. And reality always has more weight than words. If you want people to respect you, don't tell them who you are. Show them. Don't tell them what you're building. Let them see it when it's finished. Don't announce your greatness. Let your greatness reveal itself through the work you've put in. Because when you live this way, your silence becomes strategy, your actions become evidence, and your results become the loudest voice in the room. Not everyone deserves access to you, and certainly not everyone deserves access to your plans. One of the greatest mistakes people make is assuming that because someone is close to them, family, friend, coworker, that person automatically has their best interests at heart. But closeness does not equal loyalty. History proves it. Betrayal almost never comes from strangers. It comes from those within your circle. That is why you cannot afford to let your circle be wide and careless. You have to keep it small, intentional, and secure. A small circle means you know who's really in your corner. You know who has shown up for you consistently, not just when it's easy, not just when it benefits them, but when it costs them something. Those are the people you can trust. Everyone else, they get distance. Not hate, not anger, but boundaries. Because boundaries are what protect your vision, your energy, and your future. When your circle is too large, too many people have access to your thoughts, your emotions, your vulnerabilities. And the more access you give, the more opportunity you create for sabotage, whether it's intentional or not. You have to understand, some people will betray you without even realizing it. They'll repeat something you told them in confidence. They'll share your ideas casually in conversation. They'll project their doubts onto you without thinking of the impact. They may not mean harm, but harm is still done. That's why loyalty isn't just about intention, it's about action. And only a small circle of people have earned the right to both hear your plans and hold them with respect. Keeping your circle small also keeps you sharp. Too many voices create noise, and noise drowns out your intuition. If you're always seeking opinions, you'll never learn to trust your own judgment. But when your circle is small and secure, you can hear yourself clearly. You can weigh the advice of a select few who truly understand you, and then make decisions with confidence. That's how you grow stronger, by filtering out the unnecessary and leaning into the essential. And let's be honest, not everyone around you wants you to win. Some may celebrate you in public, but secretly compete with you in private. They'll act supportive to your face, but secretly hope you fall so they can feel better about themselves. The bigger your circle, the greater the chance you've let those kinds of people in. But when you keep it small and guarded, you minimize that risk. You ensure that the people closest to you are not secretly rooting against you, but actively rooting for you. This isn't about isolation, it's about protection. You don't need to cut yourself off from the world, but you do need to be wise about who gets close. Your dreams are too valuable to leave unguarded, your energy too precious to waste on people who don't truly stand with you. Keep your circle small, keep it secure. And remember that strength doesn't come from how many people surround you. It comes from knowing the right people are by your side. When you stay silent, you control the story. The moment you start talking too much, you hand over pieces of your narrative to other people. And once they have it, they'll twist it, misinterpret it, or use it in ways you never intended. That's what happens when you let too many people in on your plans. They begin to define your path for you. They'll repeat it to others, change the details, and suddenly your vision doesn't even belong to you anymore. It becomes gossip, it becomes rumor, it becomes something outside of your control. That's why silence isn't just about secrecy, it's about ownership. You keep the power by controlling what gets said and, more importantly, what doesn't. When people don't know your next move, they can't create false expectations. They can't box you in, can't label you, can't limit you. But the moment you reveal too much, you open yourself up to labels that are hard to shake off. Maybe you tell someone you're planning a new project, and if it doesn't happen on their timeline, they start calling you inconsistent or unreliable. Not because you failed, but because you let them into a process that wasn't meant for them. By controlling your narrative, you free yourself from those unnecessary judgments. You write your own story at your own pace. Understand this. People don't need the details of your life to form an opinion. They'll form one anyway. So why give them ammunition? Why hand them the script to criticize you with? The less they know, the less they have to use against you. That doesn't make you guarded in a negative way. It makes you smart. It means you understand that your life is not public property, your vision is not a community project, and your success doesn't need outside commentary. Controlling the narrative also means knowing what image you project. Silence creates curiosity, and curiosity builds influence. When people can't figure you out, they start paying closer attention. They lean in. They wonder what you're working on, where you're headed, what you're about to do next. That mystery becomes power. You don't have to exaggerate. You don't have to sell yourself. You don't have to prove anything. Their imagination will do the work for you. And when you finally reveal the result, it lands with greater impact because no one saw it coming. The truth is, you don't need to defend yourself with explanations or long speeches. You don't need to justify your moves or convince people to believe in you. Every word you speak gives away a piece of control. The real power is in silence, because silence leaves no room for distortion. You decide when to speak, what to share, and how to present it. That way, your narrative stays intact, your direction stays clear, and your vision stays yours. Control the story, and you control the power. Power thrives in the unknown. The less people know about you, the more they are forced to guess, to speculate, to wonder. That uncertainty keeps you in control because mystery creates leverage. When you reveal everything about yourself, you remove the tension. You give away the element of surprise, and once people can predict you, they can prepare for you, they can counter you. But when you move with mystery, no one can truly anticipate your next step. They don't know how strong you are, they don't know how far you've come, and they don't know where you're headed. That confusion is power because it keeps them on edge. Mystery builds presence. Think about the people who command a room without saying a word. It's not because they're loud. It's because they carry something untouchable. You can't quite figure them out, and that makes you pay attention. The same applies to your life and your work. If you're always explaining, always proving, always showing your hand, you become predictable. People stop taking you seriously because they already think they know everything about you. But when you hold back, when you reveal less, people lean in. They're curious, they're watching, they're waiting. And in that waiting, you gain control. Mystery also protects your strength. If others can't see your weaknesses, they can't exploit them. If they can't see your strategy, they can't sabotage it. By staying unpredictable, you make it harder for anyone to stand in your way. And it's not about playing games. It's about understanding human nature. People attack what they understand. They undermine what they can see clearly. But when they can't define you, when they can't map your moves, they hesitate. That hesitation is your advantage. The powerful know how to reveal only what serves them. They don't overshare, they don't over-explain, they don't try to prove themselves through words. They let just enough out to keep people guessing, but never enough to be truly understood. That balance is key. Too much exposure, and you weaken yourself. Too much silence, and you disappear. But controlled mystery, that creates influence. You decide what they know, when they know it, and how they receive it. That means you're not just living, you're leading the perception of who you are. Power isn't loud, it doesn't need to scream. Power is subtle, steady, and deliberate. The ones who move quietly and unpredictably always hold the upper hand because no one ever sees the full picture until it's too late. That's why the strongest people you'll ever meet don't show off their every move. They don't need to. They understand that power doesn't beg for attention. It commands it through presence, through results, and through mystery. The less they show, the more they control. And that control is where true strength lies. The less people know about you, the harder it becomes for them to place limits on you. People have a tendency to put others in boxes. They hear one detail, one plan, one idea, and they think they already know who you are and what you're capable of. But when you keep things to yourself, you refuse to be boxed in. You leave room for unpredictability. That unpredictability keeps people off balance, and that's where your power grows. Mystery creates space for possibility, and when people can't quite figure you out, they're forced to treat you with caution and respect. Mystery is not about playing games or being deceptive. It's about discipline. It's about knowing that not everything deserves exposure and not everyone deserves access. When you speak less, you hold more. You keep your intentions close, you keep your energy intact, and you preserve the strength of your vision. This makes every action you take carry more weight because no one saw it coming. It feels sharper, stronger, more deliberate. That's what makes mystery so powerful. It magnifies the impact of your presence and your moves. Think about people who give away everything. They share every detail of their lives, every step of their plans, every thought that crosses their minds. Over time, they lose influence because they've made themselves predictable. There's nothing left to wonder about, nothing left to anticipate. They've given the world their entire playbook, and once people know your playbook, you no longer hold the advantage. But when you control what you reveal, when you let people see only what serves your purpose, you keep the power in your hands. They don't know what's next, and that uncertainty keeps them watching. Mystery also creates presence without effort. You don't need to be the loudest person in the room when you carry an aura of unpredictability. People will naturally lean in, trying to figure you out, trying to understand what you're about to do. Their attention is drawn to you, not because you demanded it, but because you withheld just enough to spark curiosity. And curiosity is influence. It makes people pay attention, and once they're paying attention, you decide how much of yourself they actually get to see. The strongest individuals never broadcast everything. They don't hand out all the details of their strategies, their dreams, or their struggles. They move with intent, reveal with precision, and let their results do the speaking. Mystery is what gives those results weight, because when people don't know what's coming, the reveal is always bigger, always more impactful, always more respected. You don't just show up, you arrive with force. That's the kind of presence that can't be ignored. Mystery isn't emptiness. It isn't about being closed off or distant. It's about power. It's about understanding that silence, restraint, and unpredictability are tools of influence. The less they know, the less they can prepare. The less they know, the more they wonder. The less they know, the stronger and more untouchable you become.